2018 was an amazing year for films. It gave us groundbreaking romances, thought-provoking dramas that changed the way we looked at the world, thrillers that presented their stories in brand new, fresh ways that we had never before seen, and, let's be real, I know my audience, it also gave us the best year for superhero films we've ever seen. So today, in order to celebrate all the accomplishments of last year, I'm going to give you my personal top 10 favorite movies of 2018. It's just my personal list. Let me know yours in the comments down below. But because last year was so good, let's do a quick round of honorable mentions. Quiet Place, Game Night, Mandy, Paddington 2, Dear Simon, and Into the Spider-Verse. That's how good last year was for movies. Into the Spider-Verse was easily the best animated film of last year, arguably the best Spider-Man film of all time. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, so I already had one foot in the I'm going to like it anyway category, and it still didn't even crack my top 10, because there were just that many good films last year. But let's find out what actually did crack my top 10.
Number 10, Black Panther. I was pleasantly surprised at how well this film was able to bring the Black Panther to life, knowing exactly what to keep from the comics and what to change in order to create something brand new for this new medium. But the fact that they were able to serve right in the middle of their big action-packed superhero blockbuster a really heavy and important message about the world without even blinking truly amazed me. I've often said that many superhero movies have big important messages to them that people tend to overlook, and I am stunned that this movie just said, yeah, we're gonna make sure no one misses this one. This is honestly one of the boldest films I saw all year, and I've been trying to make the case that superhero movies can be far more than just popcorn escapism and big action scenes, and after this film, I don't think anyone can argue against that. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with big crazy action scenes and popcorn escapism, because at number 9, I present you with Mission Impossible Fallout. I have to admit, I'm not really into the Mission Impossible franchise. Even after everyone started loving them a few years back, I still just shrugged and said, yeah, that's nice, it's not my thing. But Mission Impossible Fallout was totally my thing. The action, the twist, hell, Henry Cavill's mustache, all of it just hit exactly the right spot. I'll admit it doesn't have the big message or emotional journey of many other great films this year, but what can I say? This film kept my eyes glued on the screen like few other movies did this year. Number 8, If Beale Street Could Talk. This was Barry Jenkins' follow-up to Moonlight, and I had been waiting to see what he was going to do next. I was a huge fan of Moonlight, and this film did not disappoint. I will admit, the movie feels more like a play to me than a traditional film, more of just an excuse to show off amazing performances around a heartbreaking premise rather than one smooth flowing story, but I'm actually totally okay with that because Barry Jenkins knows how to make that work. The performances are so good in here. There is a dinner scene about 15 minutes into this movie, and after it was over, I wanted to get up and leave. Not because it was bad, but because it was so good, I just said, welp, I just saw an entire movie's worth of drama and emotions. Don't need anything else, I am full. I don't think I've ever said that a mere 15 minutes into a film before, and I think it is a crime that this movie is not getting way more recognition. Number 7, Isle of Dogs. Fantastic Mr. Fox isn't just my favorite Wes Anderson film, it's also one of my favorite animated films of all time. Honestly, I think Wes Anderson's quirky humor and view of the world just works better with animation, and this year Isle of Dogs gave me the follow-up I had been waiting for. It's so darn charming, creative, and God does that animation look gorgeous in that weird Wes Anderson I made this in my own little dollhouse style. This is one of those films that when I first watched it, I enjoyed it, I had a good time. But as the year went along, I just kept thinking about it over and over, and every single time that I thought about it, I fell in love with it a little bit more. Number 6, Annihilation. You guys all know me. You know I'm a big horror fan, and this was another year where indie horror films really delivered. But the one that hit me the hardest, right in the old amygdala, that's the part of the brain that controls fear, was Annihilation. This movie has echoes of Carpenter, Cronenberg, and even a dash of Lovecraft, while all at the same time feeling like its own thing. It manages to be beautiful but also horrifying, often both at the same time. And I'll admit I'm a bit biased here because one of my greatest fears is that feeling that you're transforming into something different, something not human with no control over it. And that's what this entire movie is about. And it captured all of that in its grotesque perfection. My face contorted in horror at this film more than any other movie this year combined. Number 5, Upgrade. I will keep talking about Upgrade until I die. Y'all need to see Upgrade. I have had multiple people tell me this year that they saw Upgrade just because I wouldn't shut up about it, and they all loved it. So I am batting 1,000 on this recommendation. It's the story of a man who loses the use of his body but wants to seek revenge on the people who were responsible for this. So he gets a computer program put into his brain that allows him to move, only for the AI system to start taking over. It's got drama, it's got suspense, it's got horror, and it's got the best looking action I've seen all year. After the first fight scene in here, my mouth was dropped open and I'm pretty sure I yelled out, "That was awesome!" in the theater, and no one complained because yes, it was. It's like if somebody actually made a good Venom movie this year. Go see this freaking movie. No, I will not stop yelling. You start yelling and start watching Upgrade. I can't believe there are 4 movies higher than this. This really was a great year for cinema. Number 4, Black Clansmen. Wow, it feels good to have a good Spike Lee film again. It's been a while and Black Klansman didn't disappoint. This movie takes an incredibly serious story from America's history that still has major impacts today, then tricked you into laying your guard down with some really clever and witty comedy, then came right back around to knock you to the ground with the weight of the issue. This movie wanted you to feel horrified and angry, and it was able to achieve that by constantly picking you back up again. So that way, you never felt totally beaten down, you never felt just numb to all of this. It would constantly give you a little bit of levity just so that it could take it all away again, making this entire movie effective from start to finish. Even up until the very end of this movie, it still applied this method of, oh, okay, everything worked out. Wait, no it didn't, now I'm madder than ever. Number 3, Searching. It's no secret I haven't been a fan of the desktop found footage style of movies, but Searching made me realize they absolutely can work. Searching is one of the best thrillers I've seen ever. Not this year, ever. This is a movie where they revealed twist about a character that made me think, oh wow, we're entering the 3rd act. Everything is being revealed. And then I realized there was still an hour left in this movie. The pacing of this story is incredible, as every few minutes they realize, hey, is the audience starting to get comfortable and feel like they know what to expect? Time to break them in two all over again. And as for telling this story through the computer desktop, that's actually brilliant. It makes you feel the entire history of this family all in one location, and it gives you a great excuse to search through it all and realize what every member of this family has been through without ever having to stop and directly spell it all out for you. Number 2, Sorry to Bother You. I know this movie isn't for everyone, believe me, you guys made that clear to me all year long, but this is my list, and if you want to know what's going through my head at any given time this year, it's probably a scene from Sorry to Bother You. When you watch as many movies as I do, you're always looking for something new, something different, something you've never seen before, and holy crap did Sorry to Bother You deliver. But you can't just show me something new. If that was the case, Mandy would easily be on this list rather than just getting an honorable mention. No, Sorry to Bother You is hilarious with its unexpectedness. Whether it be the witty dialogue, the crazy cast of characters, or sight gags that I'm still not even sure I actually saw, I laughed to the point of tears at this movie. But beyond that, this movie is relatable in its weirdness. And honestly, I think that's what I love the most about it. If you've ever worked a shitty job, if you've ever had a boss just beat you down, if you've ever felt like you had to turn your back on others or sell out everything you cared about for a paycheck, this film is one of the best comedic parodies of that experience you'll ever see. And that's just the stuff that I could relate to. There's so many social issues that they brilliantly satirize in this film that are going to speak to an audience beyond me, and I love that this film was able to pack all of that into it. This film does so much right that while I was watching it, I wanted to pull out my phone in the middle of the theater just so I could start taking notes on it. Now, it's time for my number one film. And so far, we have had some brilliant independent films. We've had some groundbreaking dramas. We had films that addressed really serious issues that so many other movies would not be brave enough to talk about. So of course, here at the end, my number one film of 2018 has to be Avengers: Infinity War. That's right, call me a Marvel fanboy all you want, I don't care. I honestly tried fighting this. I tried to say, no, you like that witty indie film more than this one, or that really hard-hitting, culturally relevant biopic more, right? You're not just going to put the superhero movie up here at the number one spot, right? But after months of thinking about it, you're damn right I'm putting the superhero movie at the number one spot, because dear God, this movie is amazing, and even 8 months later, it's still the best thing I saw all year. Bringing all these characters we had spent a decade with together, and making each of them feel true to themselves, or in some cases even helping to distinguish them more through their interactions, and taking storylines and relationships that had developed over the course of 18 other movies and having them actually progress all together, that's something that still seems impossible. I still can't believe it actually happened. And you might be saying, yeah, but if you take out the fact that it was 10 years worth of movies all coming together and they did something in this film that no one else has ever been able to accomplish in the entire history of cinema, is it still really that impressive? Two things about that. One, I'm not going to take that away from this film, because that is indeed a huge part of this film. I'm not going to judge an imaginary film I just made up for the sake of arguments and then determine whether or not that belongs on this list. I'm going to judge the film we got. And two, yes, it is still that impressive. Thanos is an amazing villain. The fact that they decided to frame this movie with this many heroes in it from the villain's point of view as though he was the protagonist was a bold move, and I think it absolutely worked out. The action shows you can still have over-the-top cosmic level fight scenes and not feel like you're just watching a bunch of special effects punch each other. It shows that if you actually care about these characters and choreograph them well in ways that speak to their individual characters and progress their stories through the action scenes, it can make the action scenes more important than the moments of pure dialogue. In fact, even after 18 movies, this film still did stuff with these characters and the imagination that went into their battles that stunned me. And the tone of this film is incredible. It felt like after years of people saying, oh, the Marvel films are too friendly and goofy and silly, they just cracked their knuckles and said, oh yeah? I mean, it's been 8 or 9 months, and we still get a lump in our throats just hearing I don't feel so good. And yes, we know there's another film coming. Yes, we know everyone is probably going to be saved. But can we talk about how in a day and age where big budget films are criticized for not taking risk, this movie ended with not just the bad guy winning, but with about 5 minutes of breaking the audience's heart by watching what is basically a giant funeral march across the entire galaxy as we're forced to sit there and watch the characters we had spent 10 years growing attached to just fading away from existence. Nobody does stuff like that. This is a superhero movie where when the credits started, you could hear a pin drop because the audience was left silent. This film took a 10-year-long gamble, something no one had ever attempted before, and not only did it succeed, it continued to take risk and surprise us all the way up until the very end. You want to talk about applauding movies that show me stuff I've never seen? This movie surprised me more than anything else I saw in 2018. It gave me more of a rush than anything I saw in 2018. It broke my heart more than anything I saw in 2018. So I can fight it as much as I want. I can come in here and say, no, I really did like the indie films way more than this. Please let me sit at the cool movie critics table. But in the end, I gotta be true to myself. This was easily my favorite film of 2018. Well, now that I got all of that out of my system, let me know what your favorite films of last year were in the comments down below. And if you want to see me talk about the polar opposite of this, tune in tomorrow when we will be talking about the 10 worst movies of 2018. Oh boy, that's gonna be fun. If you want to know when that goes up, make sure you click that subscribe button, ring that bell, or follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Professor Thorgi. And if you want to support this channel, you can always find us at patreon.com/Professor Thorgi. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time.